What's going on? It's your boy Javon, and you are now listening to the JVaughnology Podcast. Stop. All right, so today's episode, we are going to be talking about the trauma. So, I did look up what trauma is. It is a emotional response to a terrible event like an accident, rape, or a natural disaster. So I just want to talk on trauma on my end and trauma that I have dealt with that I'm actually getting a lot better with, which I'm very proud of because I went to therapy, which, again, therapy is for everybody. Don't ever feel weird for going to therapy. Therapy is necessary for you to go through this life, especially with all the shit that be happening 90% of the time in the world. You may need somebody to talk to. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely talk to your friends as much as you want to, but I would say therapy would be better because you have a non-biased opinion. Now we are gonna have an episode when I talk to you about me going to all these therapists, and I finally find a therapist I really like, and then me and her had to disconnect for a little bit. But we'll go into that one. That's another story for another day. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about trauma as in with friends, family, and then relationships. So I'll start off with like relationship trauma. So, your boy didn't really come into the gate of dating that well. The first person I really liked, which was a girl, it was like back when I was in third grade, y'all. So please bear with me because y'all know I don't like women, but whatever. So, with her, it's funny now thinking about it, but it was not funny back then because I was really upset. So there was this girl I liked in third grade, right? I spoke so highly about her. Like, I think I liked her because she was like mildly nice to me, but I don't know, she was like flirting with me. Like, I don't know. It was just whatever. So on Valentine's Day, when kids go, it's not funny. I'm trying so hard not to laugh. I'm sorry. Because I'm thinking about like little me. Like, imagine me, if you know what I look like now, if you're new, you don't know who I am, please go check out my Instagram. It's Von the Best, VAUGHNTHA. But when I was younger, I was like this short black kid. I wore glasses. I was a little chubby around that time, I think. But yeah, like that third to like fifth grade, you usually like chubby or you're skinny. It's either or. And then that's when I first started wearing. Oh no, it was fourth. No, I apologize. This shit happened in fifth grade, not third. So in fifth grade, because I had Mr. Thomas, and I remember that we were in the trailers, and me and her literally sat like two seats away from each other. Wow, look at my memory. I remember what I want to. So super selective memory. Either way, so met this girl. I think her name was like Marina, Mar something. I know it was something ghetto though, cause I can't remember it. Nothing wrong with a ghetto name, but so I met her. Cool, whatever. She flirted with me here and there. I thought here, whatever. So Valentine's Day, of course, I'm gonna get her something for Valentine's Day. So I got her like chocolate, and I got her a card, and I think I got her like a flower. I don't know where the flower came from. I don't know if I picked that shit out of the fucking ground. Like, I don't remember where that flower came from, but I think it was a weed. I don't think it was a flower. So on her, I came up to her on Valentine's Day, and I gave her all this stuff, and she just kind of looked at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with this boy?" And I remember from that tragic day that I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do love anymore. So I was super emotional because I was an emotional kid. So I went to my mom and I was just like, oh, like she didn't like my gift. My mom was like, what are you talking about? I was like, there's this girl that didn't like my gift. She's like, okay, and I started crying, and then my mom's just like, Javon, I'm gonna need you to get that together. And then that's how trauma was built right there, because my mom should have been like, it's okay, you should have that bald headed heifer didn't matter, but no, she wanted to ignore me. So I was like, okay, well, this is how love is going, this is how I see love is gonna be. Honestly, I thought about that, like I literally thought like that for mad long. So then a second time with trauma, I used to always be scared to fall in love, just because I have seen some shit when people fall in love. Like, people people lose their shit when they fall in love. So I was always terrified of it. Like, I was just like, listen, like, and then plus, me being gay, and I didn't know, like, who to trust with being gay, because you don't know who's gay and who's not gay. Like, it's not like it's plastered on people's forehead, because back then, it was kind of like taboo still. You're welcome, children of nowadays, who can talk about if they're gay or not. Actually, in Florida, they're saying that you can't say it, which is that shit makes absolutely, positively no type of sense. Because one, I don't know why these white men think that they can control, or these white straight men have so much to say about gay culture. Like, I don't get it. I feel like you need to be worried about more important things. Like, Florida needs to be worried about their taxes, for one. These stupid ass tolls that are unnecessary. Like, come on now, Texas. I mean, not Texas, Florida, actually. I'm sorry. Come on now, Florida. Like, how about you get your I-4 together, because that shit looks like a roller coaster itself, before you try to come for gays. Anyways, so I'm sorry, I'm veering. So, me, I didn't know, like, if anybody was gay or not, whatever, whatever. So, I'm growing up going off of that trauma of me, like, actually, telling somebody I like them, and then them looking at me like I'm fucking stupid. So my natural reaction is to not let people know that I like them, and I'm gonna just figure it out, like, as we go. So I didn't really date any, like, I was dating girls here and there, because I had to keep the funk. I was dating girls, like, let's just be, and I used to date, like, the baddest bitches in the school, to be completely honest. I was not about to go out, like, no, like, trust me, y'all calling me the F bomb if you want to, baby, but I was bagging all the girls that y'all wanted just for fun. So, after I went through all that, then there was this one point in my life where I turned, like, I think those before I started dating, like, officially, when I started to date a guy was when I was 16. Um and he went to the same school as me. I think he graduated like 2 years ahead of me, and that was the year I met him. Now, one thing I can tell y'all is dating Caribbean men is like in doing a crossword puzzle. You don't ever know what's about to happen. You gotta keep guessing to get the right answer, and you don't even know if you not a crossword puzzle. What's one of them? I think it is a crossword book. Those books where you have to put in the letters to make the words, whatever that is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Either way, that's how dating Caribbean men is. Like, there's so many pieces you have to, like, put together to make a fucking word, and you don't even know if that's the right word. You're guessing. The only way you can figure it out is when you get to the end of the book, and then it tells you if it's right. That is literally it. I promise you, because them niggas are just, and I wish I was forewarned before this happened. Like, I feel like nobody told me how bad it was. So I was dating a guy. This is where the trauma comes in, like the bad relationship trauma. So I was dating this guy. I really liked him. Like, I was going hard for him. I think I got him like roses and a card and a ring or something like that. I got all this shit knowing I ain't got no money. I ain't have no job or nothing. So it was his birthday. Went to his house, right? I was like mad hype. Like, I was like, oh, I'm about to give him all this stuff. He's gonna love it. Da da da. I get to the fucking door, yeah. I literally am standing there with this stuff in my hand. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he about to like this shit, right? Joke the fuck on me. He comes down the stairs. He opens the door. He looks at me. He's like, why you got me all this stuff? I'm like, it's your birthday. He's like, okay. And then he was like, thanks. He literally took the ring that I got him, and he was just like, this is nice. And that was it. He did not care about that card. He did not care about them roses. And due to that event, I was like, this is my life. This is what my life is going to be about. This is how it is. And that is where the trauma of relationships started. So that's when I became a cold-hearted bitch. Because you want to know why? Because people be trying to violate you. And you got to keep your A game up on them. So every guy who I dated after that, they never got any affection at all, which is horrible. Like, and that literally, that event, like, made me, like, emotionally trauma. Like, I had trauma. Like, I was literally emotionally unavailable to anybody with any type of emotions, because that was like a horrific event for me. And I know, like, it's crazy as adults. Like, I'm really thinking about it, and I'm like, girl, like, it was not that deep. But I guess at that age, like, especially when you trying to find who you are, you finally find somebody that you really like, and then they, like, pull that shit on you. And he was a Libra. So, it like destroyed me completely. Like I literally went into every relationship I went into afterwards. I didn't know how to love because I was just going off like protecting myself 90% of the time because of the trauma I dealt with. So then, fast forward into now, I have learned that that's not the best way. One, it's hard to be in a relationship when when you're not the person with any emotions because you're so like guarded and scarred and trying to protect yourself. And when I went to my therapist, this is way, 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 way. Just literally happened like I think 2020 when I had to get a therapist because I needed to figure the fuck out what's going on with me. So this literally just happened. I am about to be 30 this year. And when I turned 27 is when I really started to open up my emotional intelligence. Let me find out emotional intelligence. Um, that is when I opened it up, and that's crazy. Like literally, that traumatic event made me be like scarred for so long, and I'm pretty sure I could have had like amazing relationships or and stuff like that, but I was so like traumatized because every time I give somebody all my love, it was like it wasn't enough. And yeah, that really ruined it for me. But I did talk to my therapist. My therapist was just like, maybe they weren't meant to love you because they were going through their trauma as well. And like I got that, but I wish it's crazy because I really wish that I had everything happens for a reason, don't get me wrong. But I really wish like I would have had that knowledge from a therapist like way back when I first started dating because I feel like that would have changed a lot of my relationships because I was very cold-hearted. I tell you, like they barely got emotions out of me. Like most of my exes, they can tell you they were just like, I don't know. He just you could barely get a tear out of him. Like you would really never know. I mean, I can give you a whole bunch of stuff, but you would really never know if I'm like in love with you because my emotional intelligence was gone completely. So, for all the people who are traumatized off of people not wanting you, and you buy them a whole bunch of shit, and they don't understand, or they just listen to my people who are not emotionally intelligent. Go to a therapist, see what the root issue is, and see if that can be fixed. Because you don't want to hold on to that and then go into these new relationships and miss out on somebody. I don't think I missed out on nobody, but miss out on somebody that's really, really good for you because of the trauma that you had previously before. That's my little word of advice. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just saying. That's what helped me. Now when it comes to family, um, with family trauma, it was just a lot going on when I was younger, and it was a lot of moving back and forth. My mom was definitely a single parent, which I know it was very hard for her because I was pushed back and forth to family member because my mom was struggling trying to keep herself above float as well. But doing that made me it's it was rough, I would say, because it's like you never really can call a place your home because you never really stayed there longer than 6 years. Like I felt like every time I'm like getting comfortable and I meet a good group of friends and I'm like sticking there and I'm staying there. Like these are my homies. We gonna be through this whatever. We end up moving. Maybe because of financial reasons, I don't know. I never really asked her, but it kind of sucks because it's like I remember one day I came to her when I was in high school when we finally moved down to Atlanta. And I was just like, hey, like, are we gonna move again? And I remember asking her that like my junior year because she was going through things, and then I was just feeling like I felt like there's about to be a shift, which means that we're gonna be moving and something like that. And she's just like, no, she was like, I really want you to stay in one spot through and go to the same high school. And I was like, thank God, because all that moving like back and forth is so hard, like especially when you're like a kid because you're trying to adapt to the surrounding that you're in, and it's like every time you really get some like I said, a good core group of friends, it's like you have to leave. And that's traumatizing to a kid. Like, and that's why, for sure, if I do have kids, I want to make sure that I keep them in the same spot for at least 8 years. Well, as long as they can, honestly. Especially like the teen years, like they're 11 to like 18. Like, I really feel like you got to be in the same spot, and they have to have their same friends because this world is cold without them. And it made me resent my mom for having us move so much because it was like, damn, like I can't even like be around the same people. Like I make a really good friend, which is cool because honestly I have a lot of friends in different states and they all are, I still really really cool with them and I'm very grateful for all of them. But it's just like that really like fucked me up because it's like right when I make really good friends I have to leave. And then now as an adult, it helped me because I can adapt to any situation because I'm so used to moving and I can adapt to anybody's personality because I already know like how everybody is because trust me, I met a lot of fucking people in my life, honey. So it worked out on my end, but if I could choose, honestly, y'all, like I would have loved to stay in one spot for like beginning to end, like from my beginning of my teens to the end of my teens, because you learn so much about yourself. You're still going through your own struggle, but at least you still have the same people behind you that's supporting you. Like you still have the same friends that are gonna be there. You don't have to keep remaking friends and shit because that shit is so annoying. It's like starting a new relationship over and over and over and over again. Like you gotta start from the basics. Like, hey, how are you? Where you from? How like what do you like? What's your favorite color? And I like all this shit. And I think that's what made me like super bubbly and as people say, super friendly that I am now because again, like I just go into the shit like, nigga, I don't know nobody, but before I leave, I'm gonna know somebody. So it is what it is. For the most part, for this podcast, what I'm trying to say is that trauma is very serious. Like trauma can stop you from doing so many things that you want to do in your life. Like, um, me again with the trauma with relationships, like I feel like again the relationships could have been better. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to be with them, but I feel like I could have gave a lot more to them if I would have been able to understand my emotional intelligence and I was able to get to the root of my trauma. Like especially with friends, I think a lot of my trauma comes from it's not as bad as it used to be, but it was really bad. We about to get deep here. So my mom's a single parent, as you know. And my dad was not there for most of my life. We're not gonna go into why. That is his business. Me and him have got over it. I have went through therapy. I've got over it. Don't feel bad for me. Don't feel bad for me. So he wasn't in my life most of it. So I have this tendency to cling on to people, good or bad, because I don't want them to feel like how I felt. So I was becoming friends with people who didn't really deserve to be my friends, to be completely honest, because I'm a real down ass bitch. Like, if you really know me, like anybody who really, really knows me, like I'm down for anything, anytime. Like, I got your back 90% of the time. 90% because, sometimes y'all bitches be wrong. I mean, let me say, I'll be there, but I'm be like, bitch, now you tripping. Shit. Like, we don't have to run up on the bitch because you acting stupid. But I'm gonna get you behind the scenes. But either way, um, so yeah, like I became friends with people, and I feel like due to my trauma, even though they would treat me like shit, or they wouldn't treat me like how a real friend is supposed to, or even in relationships, even though they wouldn't treat me like how they were supposed to, I would just deal with it because I'd be like, I don't want them to have me being out of their life like how my dad was out of mine. Now, how the like how how a person who a teen because I usually this was in my teens like how a person in his teens gonna be trying to control people's life like that, girl, I do not know because then I started becoming friends with people who didn't give about me. So when I didn't have any type of value to them, of course they cut me off. Like there's no point of them having me, which that was a turning point in my life because I was like, you know what, everybody wants to be a bitch to me, I'll be a bigger bitch to everybody else. And it's like I had this big guard up, which I did not like having, but I felt like that was the only way that I could. And then the friends that I had, they were like, "Oh, you're just too nice." Again, it's not like I wanted to be this nice. It's just because I know how it is to not have somebody like there for you, and I know how much trauma that can bring people. So that's why I always try to be that person for them. But I learned that shit don't. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm not gonna be putting more into a friendship than is needed, bitch. And that's what the point I am at now. Especially due to the previous trauma that I had before. Um, you don't have to be there for everybody, and that's a big thing that I had to learn is that you don't have to be there for everybody. Like people will figure it the fuck out with or without you. And you becoming friends with somebody and then them cutting you off is just literally making you have more trauma because now you think that everybody who comes into your life is just gonna cut you off, and nobody wants to live like that. Like nobody wants to be thinking, oh well shit, we're friends today, but bitch, I don't know, about a week, I don't know if we gonna be cool anymore. That's why I say you need to go to therapy. Because if you really like go to the root of the problem, like honestly, my dad is probably most of the root of the problem, and that's me being completely honest. I'm like, and I know he didn't mean to do it. You know, shit just happened. Life is life, and that's just what it is at the end of the day. But I wish I would have had therapy when I was younger. Because I really felt like it would help me out, and it would have got me out of a lot of events that I went through. But you know what? You live and you learn, and you just do your thing. But all of this to say is therapy is very important. And dealing with trauma, you can try to do it by yourself, but I know a lot of people who spiraled because they weren't dealing with it. Like I had a friend. Um I'm trying to make sure that you don't know who this person is at all. So, they started dating somebody when they were at a young age. They didn't have a father in their life as well. So they are falling madly in love with this person, madly in love, like to the point that they would do anything, everything for this person. And that person they were dating was a complete asshole to them, complete. Treated them like shit. They were just like, I hit you up when I want to hit you up type of person. Like me, I deal with some shit, but I don't deal with no bullshit like that. Like that shit when saying some that you can only come when I want you to, like don't really hit me up unless I hit you up first type shit. Like that's some real controlling type shit. And people usually deal with it because they have trauma of not having people. So they're just like, I'm willing to just deal with it because I don't have my dad. And I mean, you're like the only man figure in my life. So I'm just deal with it. But I never did no stupid ass shit like that, girl. So she used to deal with it. And that like damaged me as a friend because it was like, damn, like even she would put that person in front of me, and it's all because of the she felt like if she lost him she would lose everything, and she already had lost her dad, so she's just willing to deal with all that shit, which built her a shitload of trauma. So now when she goes into relationships, she's so scared to like really let herself go, like how I am when I was like before therapy. Like she's so scared to let them in that she builds this wall with them. And I remember that she literally was supposed to be engaged like 2 times, but she kept saying no because she felt like, I don't know if your ass is really gonna stay here, and how do I know you really loved me? And it's just so sad to see like how, because this man really does love her, like completely loves her, and I know that he loves her, and it just really sucks because she has so much trauma that she doesn't want to walk into a relationship, or she doesn't even want to have kids because she feels like that she's not sure if the dad's gonna stay there because her dad didn't stay there. So men, start taking care of your kids because this trauma is definitely something that probably goes back into Lord knows how long, especially with men not raising their kids and men just leaving the women to themselves, which not everybody's like that, but it's a good grip. Like I can honestly say out of 1 out of 5 that their dad in the same household as them, and that is crazy. Now I do know that that has increased. I don't know like the complete amount, like amount that it has increased, but um like back then it was hard, like, and I can only imagine like the women having to deal with that because it's like, damn, like my kid's gonna be traumatized now with dating or being in a relationship because they don't have their own dad to like really show them the way, especially girls, because girls definitely need their dads. um like brothers can help them oh so much, but I mean they're gonna ultimately still need their dad. So we got a little deep on this podcast. But all I want to say is, like, to wrap this all up, make sure that you go to therapy because you need to get to the root of the trauma. The only way that you can get over it is if you get in it and speak to somebody to make sure that you can, work with it as well. I do want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Songs that I've been listening to this week, though, because I kind of switched up the game. All right, so the music that I've been listening to this week, like, honestly, is Who's That Girl by Eve. Like, I made this whole playlist with, like, female rappers. So I've been listening to Eve. I've been listening to Lil Kim. I've been listening to Trina. I've been listening to Missy Elliott. So the main song that I have been listening to this week is probably going to be Crush on You by Lil Kim. That's, like, the top song I've been listening to this week. So, yeah. Oh, and A Roughneck by MC Light. Now, I don't know why I like that ratchet ass song, but I like it. I love me some old school hip hop. Yeah. So I do want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I hope this helped and enlightened anybody that is dealing with trauma. I know this isn't like the best example of trauma, but I'm just saying like from my perspective and what helped me. So if you guys want to definitely go to therapy, I use BetterHelp. It's an app that you can go through and you can literally pick which person that you want, like from like religion to race to sex. This is not sponsored by BetterHelp at all, but they did help me out, so that's one reason why I'm bringing it up. And yeah, I will see you guys next week again. See you on Thursday. You guys have an amazing week. Stay blessed and stay beautiful. And I see you when I see you, Shotty. All right. Make sure to follow me on my podcast on Instagram. It's gonna be the JVaughnology Pod, so you can get more updates and everything as well.